event today, possibly before rules kick in next week. Semenya is lined up she's lined up to compete in the Diamond League race in Doha. In several cryptic tweets, she's also hinted at ending her career. As follows Wednesday's controversial decision by the IAAF dismissing Semenya's application against her testosterone regulations.
24 hours after the Court of Arbitration's decision, President of the IAAF, SABC, would have thought the matter would be behind the World Athletics body as they looked for the start of the athletic season, this at the Doha Diamond League event. But like the court's confusing decisions, which acknowledge being discriminatory against Caster Semenya, Co's answers when pressed on the decisions made no sense.
What about those that say that we don't have any rules for people with big lungs, long arms, and why are we picking on this particular natural gift? Don't elite athletes all have special gifts?
Look, this is a Diamond League press conference. That's as much as I feel I really need to say on this subject. Thanks.
I think the IAAF obviously put a statement out yesterday, and I think Seb's made a comment on that.
This is pretty straightforward, and it's very straightforward for any international federation in sport. Athletics has two classifications. It has age, it has gender. We are fiercely protective about both, and I'm really grateful that the Court of Arbitration has upheld that principle.
So how does Semenya or any athlete who falls within the proposed restrictions work through this confusion?
At times they're extremely strong in their opinions, and it looks as though they've really made their minds up. And then at other times they seem to leave these little gaps and openings. And one of them that you've just picked up on is the 1,500 meters. I don't think the IAAF are going to follow that suggestion and take that event off. And so I think if Semenya wants to compete without lowering her testosterone, she'll have to go up even more to the 3,000 and the 5,000. The other area that they've left loopholes is on the issue of medical risks and side effects. And so it's possible that something comes up that allows her to go back to it. That is a legal question that I don't feel I'm qualified. Well, I know I'm not qualified to speculate as to how one now challenges this decision. She has options if she chooses to go with them, but I don't know whether those involve the science, whether they involve the evidence, whether they involve human rights. That remains to be seen.
While athletes' careers end because of injury or just by getting too old to compete, Caster's domination of the 800-meter event, which she has not lost a race in since 2015, will almost certainly end via a boardroom decision. An outcome which has seen support for the South African come from unlikely sources. Hours following the CAS decision, former Australian 800-meter athlete Madeleine Pape, who had raced and lost to Semenya, came out in support of the South African, calling the decision wrong.
I think there are some complicated racial and national dimensions to this issue. I don't think it's an accident that the majority of the women that we know about who have been impacted by these regulations are women of colour from global south countries and especially from sub-Saharan African countries. I do think there are questions that need to be asked about why that's the case and why Caster Semenya in particular has attracted such scrutiny, even though the advantages or the margin that she has enjoyed over her competitors is no greater than the margin that we've seen athletes like Usain Bolt and Paula Radcliffe enjoy over their competitors. So yes, I do think there are questions to be asked about how race and nation are playing a role in the women singled out for scrutiny.
While it's no fault of Caster Semenya's, unfortunately, for her, she will now actually she'll have to make a decision to either start taking the medication to reduce her testosterone levels or not be allowed to compete.
I'd like to add that I think it would be a great loss for the sport of track and field if Semenya wasn't able to compete at her finest. She is a prolific female athlete and she's a great role model for young women around the world and especially women in sub-Saharan Africa and her home country of South Africa. So she has She has a really quirky personality. She has a lot of things to say and to talk about, which we often don't get to hear about because people are so fixated on this topic of high testosterone.